Appreciate everybody coming by. Watch your step. A little rain out tonight, so be careful on your way home. See you, Mr. Spinelli.
Thank you. Ready to go?
Okay, how are you feeling tonight?
I feel well. How are you?
Okay. How are you feeling about the race so far?
You know, we always knew, anybody who knows politics knows that a mid-year cycle, in Ohio especially, is going to be a difficult cycle, but we're hopeful that some of our candidates will do better than others. We know that many of our candidates are expected to defeat their opponents, Republican opponents. I'm bullish on Connie Pillage and of course John Carney, and we saw, as you all witnessed, with David Pepper in the last couple of weeks, that particular campaign really coming into a great deal of attention. And I know Nina has traveled the state extensively, and when you put her record up against John Husted, good things happen for Democrats. Good things happen for those of us who care about the franchise. So we'll find out. The polls are going to close here in about 10 seconds. And like you, we'll await the results, both here in the state and across the country.
What is it that Democrats don't understand about voting?
The Democrats don't understand?
What is it that Democrats don't understand about voting? Since there's 800,000 more registered Democrats in Ohio than there are registered Republicans. If they just half of them came out to vote, your side would win.
You need to
That's
tell
not
me.
going to happen
You
tonight.
need to tell me the answer when you come to it.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the chairman of the party.
Well, I was being facetious, by the way. It is the nature of political campaigns that we're witnessing across the country. In Massachusetts, for instance, where the Democratic nominee is trailing by a couple of points to the Republican nominee in the Bay State, which will be turning blue again and again and again during presidential cycles. You know, I know a lot of people write political obituaries. Most often they do that improperly or a bit too expeditiously. I will point out a couple of facts. President Obama won Ohio with more than 50% of the vote twice. There are only two other presidents who have ever done that. Democratic presidents, Andrew Jackson and Franklin Roosevelt. Most of you were not here for either one. The fact of the matter is Ohio is a blue state, trending blue state, even in off years. Republicans win because they control the rule-making process. They control the gerrymandering process. A process that doesn't get enough attention, but perhaps today will. When you ask the question, why do almost a million people sit home on a Tuesday in the even year during the mid-cycle when 2 years from now we're going to overwhelmingly elect Hillary Clinton, the first female president of the United States. There's no question about that. It's because the nature of the electorate, the rules that are written that hurt turnout, the fact that I had to sue 5 times in federal court, won 4 additional times to turn out the vote, the fact that I have to go and protect what is not a privilege. Mr. Spinelli, voting is not a privilege. It's a constitutionally protected right afforded to all of us, whether we're white or African American, gay or straight, live in the poorest communities of the state or some of the wealthiest. It's what the Columbus Dispatch has yet to come to understand, and what the Cleveland Plain Dealer certainly doesn't understand. And I may be just, whistling past the graveyard here, but I'm going to keep talking about these things because they matter.
Hey, Chris, do you expect to remain Ohio Democratic Party chairman?
I don't know if you know this because I don't know that you were at the meeting. I was elected to a 4-year term just under 8 months ago, and I'm looking forward to electing the first female president of the United States in 2 years.
Are you worried about your...
Let me tell you something. There are 400,000 new people to the poverty rolls, not the unemployment rolls. We're 45th in the country in economic development. We're going to be asking questions like that tonight. No wonder nobody comes out and votes. We're going to be asking about why Ormet's closed. We're going to be asking questions about John Kasich not debating. We ought to be asking why Cleveland Plain Dealer takes down the only video of this governor, the governor of the 7th largest state in the union, takes it down under pressure of Rob Nichols because Rob Nichols is threatening the Plain Dealer. We ought to be all, if I may, we ought to be all ashamed about how this election has played out. And what's most important, as I can tell you, if you're an unemployed person, I can only surmise what Chris Quinn has not said thus far about what the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Northeast Ohio Media Group has or has not done. The only company in this state, the Northeast Ohio Media Group, the non-union arm of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, pulled the video from their website. And that's the bastion of free speech? I think not. It's a shameful act, and Chris Quinn ought to be ashamed. It reflects poorly not just on management, but those of us who work every day with the media, who try to do the job, to gather the the collection of facts and present it to its readership. Well, the readership sure as heck doesn't know up in Northeast Ohio, and that's a fact.
Are you going to be around here as the results come in, or are you taking off right after this interview?
Huh?
Are you taking off?
So you and I took an elevator ride 4 years ago. We're going to do it. Well, there's no.
Okay, I just wondered if we are going to see you in a few minutes.
Sure.
I haven't heard you weigh in on Governor Kasich and his opponent, Ed Fitzgerald.
Sure.
He's had a very strong lead. Do you think that there's any chance for an upset? What are you thinking of?
Well, when you're outspent 20-1, when transactional government at its best, the only thing I'm surprised about is John Kasich's not in the witness protection program, because you and I have not heard from him. We haven't heard from him publicly. Everything is controlled. You don't have access to ask a follow-up, even if some of you would want to ask a follow-up. I don't understand how somebody who's taken this state to 45th in the country in economic development doesn't get to the kind of attention that we're getting tonight about whether or not I'm going to stay on his chair. I mean, it's just silliness. There's about 20 people in this state who care about the future of my job as chairman of the party for the next 4 years. There's 11.5 million people in this state who care deeply about the economic problems of our state, and our state continues to be challenged by it. For all of the nonsense that John Kasich puts forth about Obamacare, let me remind you about a couple of facts. Without Obamacare, Medicaid would not have been expanded. And the entire reason Medicaid has to be expanded is because of the growth of the unemployed and the working poor who don't have access to health care. Without Obamacare, Medicaid does not exist. John Kasich implicitly accepts the fact that our state is struggling economically. Now, candidates come and go. Facts remain. Facts remain. Now, I know Rob Nichols and my friends on the Republican side of the aisle have the Weekend Atlas out trying to figure out how to get to Altoona, Iowa tomorrow or the next tomorrow or the next tomorrow. But we're going to be there following every step along the way, because the firefighters in the state, the teachers in the state, the police officers in the state, the workers in the state expect the same kind of attention paid to John Kasich's miserable record that you all have paid to Ed Fitzgerald's driving license. We ought to be ashamed of this cycle. Connie Pillich is a great candidate and should win. Nina Turner stood up for the franchise every step of the way. David Pepper has pointed out over and over and over, in spite of the Columbus Dispatch's cheerleading for Mike DeWine, the fact of the matter is that Mike DeWine oversees a workplace downtown that does not invite diversity. In fact, invites the kind of harassment that you've read about. If this was Mark Dan, and it was, you would gather around and build a fire underneath them and burn them at the stake. But because it's the Columbus Dispatch and Mike DeWine, this guy gets a pass. It is shameful. It is shameful. And I know some people may disagree with me, and I invite that kind of criticism. Perhaps you'd like to interview me separately. The fact of the matter is the Northeast Ohio Media Group pulled from their records the only public interaction between Ed Fitzgerald and John Kasich. We're the 7th largest state in the union. Shameful. Fact is, the Columbus Dispatch under the leadership of Ben Marison pulled a story about sexual harassment that Mike DeWine was accused of, pulled it from their website, and the readership didn't get a chance. Why? Because the publisher of the Columbus Dispatch triple maxed to John Kasich and the Republican Party. Why? Because the leadership of the Columbus Dispatch participated in fundraising events for the Republican Party. Not just this year, this dates back 4 years. We ought to be ashamed of this cycle.